Coming at you guys with another interview episode of the Empty Netters podcast. Today, we're bringing you into the world of hockey media.
I love it. Swaggy P coming live from Spain, I might add.
What a legend.
Absolute incredible performance. Guys, his career is nuts. From prep days when we were basically playing against him through UVM, through the coast, through the A, through Austria, and now taking the hockey media world by storm, creating a skills coaching clinic that is unrivaled.
It's so cool. If you guys aren't familiar with Pete Lennis, we're going to be tagging him in all our socials. This guy is a weapon on the ice. We played with him in the 3v3 tournament at All-Star. He's doing stuff with the puck I've never seen, and NHLers can't.
At full speed, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
I see it on IG, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but like he's cruising around. Dude, he's doing that full speed in our games.
It's
insane.
crazy, and he's also just one of the coolest, nicest guys in the game. So enjoy, get to know Pete, Swaggy P, one of the best guys around. Have fun. All right, we are psyched to be joined by a Shelburne, Vermont native,
Hey.
a former UVM Catamount legend, a veteran of the ECHL, AHL, and the Alps Hockey League in Austria, founder of Elevate 02, now taking the hockey media world by storm, Pete Lennis, a.k.a. Swaggy P. Welcome to the Empty Netters podcast.
I appreciate it. We were supposed to do this in person about a year ago.
Yes, dude.
But we had a little weather going through Chicago.
Yeah.
And that bumped our flight back about 7 hours. So I apologize for that. But
No.
I'm happy to be here, and we got the Zoom, and that's technology. So
yes,
we're
dude.
good to go.
And this is just round one.
Yes,
we will be doing round
exactly.
2 in person.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
You're going to be getting on here a lot. And also for the listeners, we welcomed a child into the world here too, who's now 8 months old. Like, you got a lot of shit going on. So he has excuses.
And another on the way.
Oh, shit.
wow,
I didn't know that.
dude.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Great news.
Yeah.
Wow. Staying busy for
13
sure.
months apart. Yeah.
Oh, my God, bro.
we were a little shocked on that one. We're like,
Yeah.
the first one, it was like so exciting. We got the test. I went to CVS, got another test. This one, like, my wife just like put it on the table and started laughing at me, and I was just like, we're in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
What
it
can
was
you do?
planned, but it wasn't.
Damn,
Yeah.
that is
So-
very, very close to being Irish twins over there.
Yep.
13 months. That is no joke.
Very,
dude.
very close.
Well, listen, dude, you kind of get out of the
So-
madness all at once, though. Like it's going to be chaos for a stretch there, but then you kind of push through it and you're good.
We've obviously came up with every positive side of it. Oh, we're in it. Oh, they get to share clothes. Oh, this, and it was like absolutely zero facts behind it that we tried to plan it that way. It was just like, oh, yeah, it makes sense now. And, yeah, they're going to be together. You get, sleeping patterns together. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's good.
And tell everyone, you're in Spain right now, so tell everyone, what you're doing there, got a wedding and everything, where you're at.
Yeah, going to a wedding, obviously. As we flew Iberia Air. It was Boston to Madrid. That was the only one. And I think they looked a little funny at me when I checked my stick.
Yeah.
So
You know what?
they're like,
I feel like if the rollerblades weren't packed in a bag, I assume they would have looked at you even weirder if they saw that.
oh, the bat. It's all on that. The Bauer backpack with the roller blades in the side. So like, as I'm checking on, people are like, "What is this guy doing?" And honestly, what I found is I have been, tight connections. And I'm like, I had one in Philly where it was like 20 minutes from like gate to gate.
Oh, stop
I got
it.
there in 4 minutes with my rollerblades.
In the airport, dude.
You were blading?
I chuck them on every time.
Dude,
Have
just
you?
go.
Okay, this is such a move. I might bring my blades now to the airport no matter what,
It's
just for the
worth it.
convenience. Yeah.
It's worth it.
Have you
I mean,
ever?
if you see, what's that? Sorry.
Have you ever been told not to blade in the airport by someone?
No.
Huge.
I can't believe
This is huge news.
Anytime
Yeah.
I have a tight
No.
connection.
And if you watch like skateboarders, they have it on their bag, and then they'll be like, it's like in the back.
Yeah.
And then if you'll see them kind of cruising, and people are kind of like, Oh, okay. But you're not really you're not trying to like jump and grind on like, you know, one of so they're kind of like, oh, okay, it's just transportation.
Yeah. I love this.
You know how there's always that
Yeah.
downtime
No,
on the plane?
it's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
like that's a true game changer. And you're right. If you've got a tight connection, no problem at all.
Everybody takes
4
so
minutes.
long.
4 minutes.
Everybody takes so long
And you're
to
just
deboard.
you're just buzzing by everyone, right? And they're all like
Yeah.
kind of smart.
They're all jealous. Yeah, they're like, dude,
Yeah, that's right. Like,
100%.
you know, everyone's looking at you like, damn, I wish I had some blades on me right now.
that's so good. My God.
So I know I do know there's some people out there who have the ones that they just attach to the bottom of their shoe.
Yep, seen
And
that.
they bring those. I think Rusty took one out of the playbook and she did one in the you know, going gate to gate with her blades, and it's honestly like just way faster.
Yeah, it also must be a pretty exhilarating feeling too. Like if you're buzzing through the airport, passing gates in a blur on your blades, that feels pretty solid.
100%, 100%. You know, I always wanted to make some type of stick that you could like. That's the biggest problem I have. It's like normally I don't pack heavy. It's like, you know, everything I can do in my Bauer bag. But it was like if I had some type like where I could like the stick could fold in half, because every time I go to the airport I have to check my sticks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I would easily just take the stick out and go and you know, shoot a video during a layover, but like I always have to check the stick. So that's something where you know, I might have something just for some fun videos like that where you don't have to check the sticks.
Yeah.
I like maybe listen, we ring up Bauer, we get them on the horn,
Right,
figure out a nice contractable stick. Just
I was
for
thinking
this
almost
exact
like
thing.
a pool stick.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, like
screw.
a pool stick.
Yeah.
That look. Maybe edit that maneuver out there for a second. I'm sorry, but yes, you put it together with some type of screw device. Yes.
Wait, no. Can you show me again? I'm
One
not
more
really
time.
sure I got it.
I was like, after about
You'd
2 seconds,
hold
I
it with your
realized,
mouth.
I
You'd
was
hold
like,
it with your mouth,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then screw it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man,
I feel like
I take that back.
It's either got to be that or one of those toy lightsabers that's just like you flick it and then
Whole
the
stick
entire
comes out.
stick
Yes.
comes out. That would be huge too.
What was cool too is I didn't know there was a guy in Russia who was trying to make a prototype. It was like a pool, or sorry, like a tent pole.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
how
yeah.
they have the elastic
Yeah,
band,
yes.
and then you kind of fold it, but then when you take it out, it has like a notch and a notch, and then the string keeps it tight.
Yeah.
Clearly not for shooting, but
Yeah.
it'd be like, hey, you go. I mean, I don't know how many people do this, but like wherever I go, I'm always bringing the stick. But it's just like it sucks to check the sticks because 60% of the time they get friggin' lost.
Yeah, it's that, or they come out in the oversized baggage area and you got to go to some totally different spot in the airport and it's just a whole ordeal.
A guy, we were at a Jackson
But I mean,
tournament. They lost his sticks on the way. Like he flew in just in
Yeah,
time for the
that's
game,
right.
had to play with
Right.
someone else's twigs. They lost his sticks.
Yeah.
Well, how about? I mean, I'm not to sound like an idiot over here, but it's like when I'm going to teach these events and stuff, like I'm teaching stick handling, and it's like I have like, you know, my stick, the ones that I use, you know, not too custom, but there's stuff about it. And I was going to Denver to do one, and I got there and no sticks. So I go up to, I don't know what airline it was, and they were like, oh yeah, no problem, rent some. I'm like, rent a hockey stick? They're like, yeah, it's like skis. I'm like, yeah, you can't rent a hockey stick. And they're like, oh, okay, just so I taught the first hour of this session with a flat stick that was like up to my belly button, and I was just like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's just a tough look because the kids want to see stuff. You want to have fun, and they're like, oh, do a Zorro. I'm like, it's gonna be tricky
I
today,
can't.
but I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, you show up to the event, these kids are like, Jesus, Pete is a plug. This is terrible.
I'm like, this guy stinks. I was like, oh, no, but it ended up working out all right. The nice thing is like we have a good relationship with Pure Hockey, and most of the places we go, I'll just be like, yeah, sticks are lost again. They're like, oh, okay, go over and grab what you need. But it was great. This is actually kind of could be off topic or not, but I'm not sure. So I went, grabbed one, and I used a 65 flex, but those come in intermediate, and I know I have a 3-inch extension, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, don't cut the stick. I measured the extension, and I was like, something was off. And I don't know if maybe at that time they only had 70 flex or something like that. And when I got home, I like used it, and I was like, something's off, cut it. And when I got home, it was in like with 1 centimeter of what my normal stick is.
Wow,
Damn, and you could tell that quick.
Instantly, when I went on the ice, I'm like, this one's too long.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's when you know
I
you're
believe
in
it,
your
though.
bag, just
Yeah.
on the grind working
Yeah.
with this shit. Wow, that's awesome.
And it's interesting too, because a lot of people always ask, like, I use a stick that's over my head, in height.
Yeah.
And so people are always like, oh, this, that. I'm like, and I hate it when like coaches are like, grab a kid's stick and cut it down or something. I mean, that's personal preference. Obviously, there's a range, but it's up to what that person feels comfortable with.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Dude, when you find that slab of concrete in Spain and you start ripping around on the wheels, send us a video because I want to see the people's reaction hanging around Malaga. Just being like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't even, we walked around today a little bit. Like, I don't know what, like, I think it's definitely not their high season, but like there wasn't many people around, as we were walking, but I'm sure, we'll try to go more into the city, and it's just the reactions are sometimes priceless.
Yeah, I love it.
Incredible. Lenny, I want to go back in time with you because we're all New England boys here.
Yeah.
Okay. So and we're all New England prep guys. So you grew up in Vermont, as Dan said, and I was reading that you kind of were skating on ponds and stuff originally before organized hockey. Your dad built an ODR eventually, but you didn't really get into organized till age 7. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about your early days in hockey and how a school like Tabor got on your radar. Were you looking at other places? So start there. Like, how did Tabor even come to be?
For sure. So, like, as I was growing up, like, I was a pretty overweight kid.
Really?
And loved hockey. But, my dad's from Austria. Even though we were in Vermont, we didn't have much of like hockey influence on our family.
Yeah.
And so my cousin played, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Got out on the pond a couple times and really enjoyed it, but didn't start organized hockey till I was 7 or 8. And just kept getting in, falling in love with it. But it was one of those things where I would just hang around the net and like wait for someone else to do all the work and then like try to like score. Right. And then my dad was like, he's like, man, I know nothing about hockey. Absolutely nothing. But this, I know this is not how it's played. And he's like,
You're doing it wrong.
he's like, I don't mind driving you or whatever, like that, whatever you want to do. But he's like, you gotta work a little bit harder than what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, you just hang around the net, celebrate like crazy after you score, and you didn't do any of the work. And I was like, and so that was like that wasn't like a come to truth moment, but it was like, oh, okay. And, as I went, it was like, obviously trying to get better and stuff like that. But it was just something that I really, really enjoyed doing and had a ton of fun. So it was just, and as I got older, I got a little bit better and a little bit better. And, still the same thing in Vermont, whereas if you're playing high school hockey after a sophomore, in Vermont high school, you're pretty much dreams of college hockey are over. So it was a move I knew I needed to do, and my grades weren't the best. So that's why we chose the prep school route over junior hockey at that time.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
And how did Tabor come about? Like, was it between a few that you were looking at? Did you do a campus tour that spoke to you?
Northwood was my highest.
Okay.
But like for me, the biggest problem was the schooling at that point. Like I had already gotten a little bit of college recognition and stuff like that. And it was like, well, I'm not going to be able to pass clearinghouse if I don't get my grades up.
Right.
Because at that point it was that sliding scale of GPA and SAT score.
Yeah.
And my GPA was low, and I knew I was going to do terrible on the SATs. So I realized I had to get my GPA up. So my dream school at that point was Northwood. Something magical about Lake Placid.
Yeah.
They had a hell of a team. And it was just something where we went, and it was like awesome school, but it was very hockey driven,
Yeah.
and which I loved. But it kind of, my parents were like, I think you need to focus a little bit more on school. You know, and if you get your grades up, we can make a move or whatever. But you have to get eligible first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a great run at Tabor too. You lit it up there. So I went to Exeter and Dan went to Andover.
Yep.
I just missed you at Exeter, but I was checking your last year
Yep.
there. You tagged Exeter 6-0 and you had a hattie, and you guys beat Andover 3-2 in overtime, coming back from down 2-0. So we got no shit to talk to you,
I know.
dude. You're all over us.
I wanted to sewer you, but you body bagged us.
So this was the good one, right? Like we had a decent team. I think, you know, 2 or 3 kids other than myself went Division 1 that year, but we were a solid prep school team. You know,
Yeah.
we had some Locks players, we had some, you know, mixed match, couple good players who wanted to pursue hockey. Well, the first round we got matched up against Cushing, who was 30-0.
Yep.
And we're like,
Come on.
well, yeah, good run. You know, we
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and still to this day, you know, I've known Chris Bork for a while now and stuff. We beat Cushing 8-7 in the quarterfinals.
Most
Get
insane
out.
game,
Yeah.
dude, I've
Yeah.
ever seen. It was
No.
ridiculous.
Like, I mean, our coach came in after the game. He's like, if I told you we were going to give up 7 goals against Cushing, I would have said the score was 7-1.
Yeah,
And I was like, I would have said 7-0, you know, 8-0. I mean, they had a wagon. They had, you know, Chris Bork, Keith Yandel, Boomer Ewing, Billy Ryan.
Yep.
I mean, the list went on. It was star-studded. We had no business winning that game. And I think I went for 4-3 that game,
ridiculous.
or
Jesus
3-4, one
Christ,
of the
Pete.
two. And it was just like, it was just anything that touched went in. And
Yep.
it was just like, we laugh to it this day, because they should have won the you know, I think it was just prep school.
Yeah. The New England Championship.
Now they have
yeah.
like the Big 8, and
Yeah.
they were by far the favorites to win that, and so
Do you
that
remember who
I
won
always
that
have a little
year?
bit of bragging right
Because
there.
I think you guys ran into
Oh, yeah.
Avon the
So-
next game, right?
So no, so we played Exeter when they had Corey Schneider.
No, that was us.
Andover,
That was us.
Yep.
Andover had we had
That was
Schneitz.
Andover.
Yeah.
Andover. Yep. So we won 2-1 that game. And then we played Avon in the finals, and they had a phenomenal team as well. 1-1 in overtime. Our forward goes behind the net, comes up, puck gets stuck in the water.
Oh my
And,
God, dude.
Augie DiMarzo went down and scored, and they won 2-1 in OT.
That is devastating.
And that was fine. I was fine with losing, but it was just like stuck in the water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
come
like that
on,
sucks, dude. Because that's one of those
Yeah.
things that's like that is not a normal thing to happen in the game. So you're just gonna think about that forever.
Wait 5 minutes. Wait 5
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
You know, it was like, and were they a better team than us? Probably, but it was 1-1 into overtime.
Yeah.
And it was just like, for that to happen, and I felt so bad for the kid. Clearly, it wasn't his fault. Like,
Yeah.
he's not just going to skate up the ice and
No puck.
lose the puck.
Yeah.
It literally just got stuck. And I can't believe that, you know, Augie picked it up so clean out of that water. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he shot or deked. And that was it for us. So,
And
but
Pete,
super cool.
It's frustrating too because that bullshit interrupts your Cinderella story.
I know.
You beat an undefeated Cushing, you beat Cordy Schneider
For
in
sure.
that, and then you go on
should
and
not have beat Andover either. You know, all those schools were, but it was just kind of that feeling. And I remember, like, we had a pretty strict dress code at Tabor, and I remember, like, facial hair, I could barely grow any at that point, but it was like, absolutely not. Like, there was no, you get sent home. If you come back and it's not done, you are, you know, put in you know, after school activities. And I came in the next day against Cushing, and our I don't know if he was like student advisor or something like that. He was just like, the facial hair is okay until after the playoffs. And I was like, and it was like cool because like Tabor hadn't been in that situation. I don't think in quite some time. So they were kind of like rallying behind us, and so that was super cool,
dude. That is, I think
they kind of felt that.
I think that's one of the coolest things about New England prep is that you know, at such a young age, you're at these really prestigious schools where obviously tons of things are important, like academics, like theater, and all these different extracurricular programs.
Way more important.
But
yeah,
you get in the playoffs and stuff like that, and you do for the first time in usually in your life, you see like this entire campus and this entire community rallying around the teams, and it's such a cool feeling.
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah. No, I think that's why it's like it's you know, I think you have to go through it, you know, to understand what it is, and I think it's similar to college hockey. You know, like the Canadian people, they sometimes they don't understand like what it is to play for your school,
Yeah.
and you know, to have that backing of a school, and when you do well, like we were lucky enough to go to the Frozen Four. Just I don't think I went to class for 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the teachers were like, all good. Like,
Yeah.
do what you need to do
Yeah.
and make sure your assignments are done and we're good. And it was just like, you know, not to, you know, abuse the rules, but it's like, they're like, wow, this does mean something more than just us. You
Yeah.
know, it's good for the school. It's good for, and, you know, it's cool to have that type of recognition, if you want to call it that people are like, you guys are doing something, you know, whatever you need to do to make it happen, we're behind you.
Yeah.
And then when it's over, we expect everything to be, you know, up to date and whatever. And it was just like a really good understanding that wasn't taken advantage of. But so it was super cool.
That's
No, it's
amazing.
the best.
Petey, before we move on though, I know you went
Yes.
to Tabor to get the grades in order and become a
Yes.
real man. But did the boys get into any shenanigans at prep school? Because I know that's a ripe ground for us to cause some trouble. So I'd love to hear any good memories you have.
This is actually crazy. You know, I was pretty sheltered, like at, you know, going into school, like college and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'd throw a chew in here or there or whatever. But the Avon Tournament is one of the biggest scouting tournaments for prep school. It's right before Christmas or Thanksgiving, one of the two. And we actually had 7 kids suspended
Oh, damn.
for getting caught drinking. So we're like, you know, and we're talking upperclassmen. We're talking, you know, some of our good players.
Yeah.
This was my sophomore year. We went to the Avon Tournament with 9 skaters. And it was like, I mean, and call it different stuff
shit.
or whatever. I had an amazing tournament, and like, you know, we did okay for not having half of our team. So I would say that was the biggest thing that was like, you know, kids got in shit, and then our coach was like, "Oh, we're still doing this," and everyone's like, "All right, let's go." And then we just kind of had like this, you know, not care attitude like, you know, we got 9 guys, we're all here together, and let's roll.
You're logging 40 minutes of ice time every game.
Thank God those boys went drinking.
It was
you
absurd.
lit it up, yeah.
Yeah. It was absurd. I mean, we were talking. You're talking half the game.
Oh, easy.
At least.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was just. And then I remember, like, you know, we played Berkshire at one point, and we're like, all right, no one get hit by Rob Bellamy, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, we cannot lose another player right now. So like,
Yeah.
we had to stay clear of him.
Shit, dude, that's so unbelievable. So you bounce from Tabor, and then you go to the USHL for a year, play for the Sioux City Musketeers. Yep. What was that decision like? Did it feel like maybe the team your last year didn't have it? Did you need to take that next step up for college and then possibly pro hopes? Like, what was the decision-making process with that?
So it was kind of as a smaller player in that era or whatever. It was like, okay, he's really good at Bantam hockey. You know, he's going to top off in Vermont high school. You know, led the team in scoring my first 2 years there. Then they're like, okay, he has to make the jump to prep school. That's where he's going to like see what else is out there. And then it's going to, you know, maybe he plateaus. So then I did that and, you know, performed very well there. And it was like, okay, I need to make the decision. I didn't think the best thing for my growth was to stay and light it up at prep school. I was like, I want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was already committed to UVM at that time.
Okay.
And I said, and I think what got them is I said, you know, at prep school, we're playing, you know, 24 games with playoffs, maybe 28, 30. I said, just the practice alone, I'm playing against Division I players. And I was like, I need to grow to get myself to where I want to be as I step in as a freshman. And they were like, you do what you need to do. Like, if you want to stay at prep school, go ahead. If you want to go to USHL, if you want to go to the BCHL, whatever you want to do. And I said, well, this is a move I want to do to continue to grow and prepare myself for college.
Nice. Love that.
So it was kind of like, I was at a tennis match at Loomis Chaffee, I believe, when I got the call that Sioux City drafted me. I was doubles guy. I was playing the doubles match, and I checked my phone, and they're like, Sioux City took you. I was like, all right, let's go. Yeah. I was like, all right, not playing the second match, but no, it was great. And then so that's what really fueled that move.
So that was such a whirlwind experience in your life. It's like kind of like 1 year in, you get drafted, you go, you play, you light it up, and then you're off to college. Do you feel like you were able to kind of enjoy any of that year and really take in the experience of being in that new league, playing more games and this really high level of hockey, or was it all such a whirlwind?
Did you like it more than prep?
Yeah.
Well, different. It was unreal. Like you got NHL locker room style. Like Sioux City had just redone their rink. I definitely had enjoyed it, and we came, I definitely would have benefited from another year there, but it was kind of like, all the coaches came over from Vermont to my house, and they're like, "What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Like, this is what we have. You can come in this year. You can delay a year." And I for sure would have benefited from staying another year. But I was like, I literally sat in my room that night, looked at Vermont's roster, and like just kind of was plugging myself in different spots. And I was like, I can do it this year.
I'm ready. Yeah.
Would I be, you can say whatever, but I was like, I can do it, and I was like, it's up to me. Obviously nothing was guaranteed for where you would be in the lineup and whatnot. And I was like, if you work and kind of put yourself in a good spot going into the year, then you'll play. So that was my mindset. So once I made that decision, I said, don't think about like, yes, you could have went back or whatever. It's like, you're fully on board going to school next year. And that's what I chose to do.
Yeah. Lenny, before I have some Vermont questions, but I wanted to ask first, was it always UVM? Because that was like right up the road, right? How far was UVM campus from where you grew up?
I think it's like 3.2 miles or something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah, okay.
So was it like, was it always UVM or were you looking other places?
So obviously grew up in the Marty St. Louis, Perrin, Tim Thomas era, going to games, sold out, crazy. But as I was in my first year of high school, I was talking to a junior coach, and they were like, you can go ECAC, no problem. And at that point, the old coach of Vermont had already kind of been like, what's your interest level in coming? And I was like, I really appreciate it. I think I was like 13 or 14 at the time. But I was like, I kind of want to see like what's going on or whatever. And I remember what that person said to me. They were like, yeah, you'd be a good ECAC player, but Hockey East might be too over your head.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, I was like, I'm going Hockey East.
Yep.
So honestly, Providence and Northeastern were really high on my list. And then as Vermont switched to Hockey East or announced that they were going to switch in 2 years, I said, it's done. Like,
okay.
And I couldn't, and it was something where when you're a young kid and you're going to these schools, like, you're not asking the questions you need to, maybe now with advisors, but I wasn't like, oh, what's your system, or how would I fit in with creativity? Are you defensive minded? I was just like, oh, Northeastern, sick jerseys. I should commit there, like not knowing. And so it kind of got like dropped in the lap that I ended up at UVM with just the whole situation. And I couldn't be happier that I went there. I mean, it was just right.
Yeah.
But honestly, Providence was like a phone call away from me going there. It was very, though Northeastern and Providence were very, very they were above UVM at some of the time.
Yeah.
But then I am so happy that I went to UVM.
Well, so are they, because you're a Hockey East Rookie of the Week 3 times. You're the leading goal scorer as a junior. You're a Hobie Baker candidate as a senior. Now, please, I want to hear about the whole experience, but because I don't think all of our listeners know. So please tell everybody about you just said you grew up watching Marty St. Louis. You take the Catamounts to the Frozen Four for the first time since the Marty St. Louis era. And you beat Yale in the first regional game. You have the first goal, and then the insane Air Force game to send you to the Frozen Four. I don't want to spoil it, so please tell that story of the chaos of that weekend.
I think the one of the coolest stories about the whole Vermont thing was, so obviously Vermont kid going to UVM, awesome. Still, some of that, like, played in the USHL, did pretty well. College, it's just not going to match.
Yeah.
You know, it's just maybe he's too small, this or that. First home game at UVM had a hat trick.
Oh, God, that is so sick.
That's such a mother.
And it was just like,
doubters, dude. I love that.
It was just like, I mean, by far one of my
favorite memories ever, right?
Proudest moments as an individual. I mean, it was just like, you know, kids coming in from Vermont. Let's see what he can do. Kind of throw him into the fire, and it was just like, against Minnesota Duluth, who was ranked like 5th in the country.
How are you?
And it was just kind of like power play goal in the first, power play goal in the second, and then I think I scored. No, sorry, 2 power play goals in the first, and I think I completed the hat trick in the second period, and then I got another goal the next night, and had 4-goal weekend the first home weekend.
Yeah.
So that was like crazy.
Not too
so
bad.
Then we fast forward. We're playing Northeastern, first ever Hockey East game.
Oh, okay. Where you almost went.
2 goals. Yes. I scored 2, and I swear if they had video replay at that time, I got my 3rd called back with a high stick. But I don't think it was a high stick. So first Hockey East game, I would have had a hat trick as well. But those were like, it was crazy. They were like, pucks were just like on my stick going in the net, and it was just like, whoa. Like, I think I started off like 9 goals in 8 games to start my freshman year. And then I ended up getting the common college disease, mono. And that took me out for a bit. But it was just like it was almost like too easy. I was like, is this? You know, I almost like
this is hockey. They said I couldn't handle Hockey East, dude. This is Hockey East. You kidding me?
Exactly. It was almost like I wish I had like a little more adversity to start, because it was just like everything was like just boom, going in. I was like, God, I mean, this is obviously, you know, it kind of went up and down here and there after that. But that was a pretty cool start to the college career.
And dude, it's just so awesome to get that start, because as we know, confidence is so much of your gameplay. And when you have that so early, when you go through those ebbs and flows and those valleys, you know that you can do it. So you can just lock back in, eventually figure your stuff out and go, I'm going to get back to my game. Because when you experience it that early, you know it's in your arsenal, and that's so valuable.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as you guys know, it's like that time where, you know, your stick is light as a feather.
Yeah.
And then you go on a skid, and it's like, this is the same stick. Does it have sand in it? You know, like, and then it takes one going off your shin pad, and then you're like, oh, the stick's light again, and then you're vibing again.
Yeah.
But it's just like that. That was something that I always, you know, just understanding, you know, the low points and stuff, and that's what, you know, Vermont helped me out a lot with, was like, if you're not scoring goals, like, how else are you going to help our team out? You know, we had to play physical in college, and it was just like, you know, if you score goals, a lot of things are kind of, you know, left aside. But when that goes, you know, and you're not scoring, and you're making those other mistakes that you were while you were scoring, you got to clean that stuff up and become kind of more of a complete player.
Yeah.
which I don't know if I ever became a complete player.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
But definitely, definitely help towards that.
That's such a good lesson, dude. Such a good lesson to learn. And talking about one of the high points, tell us about the Frozen Four experience and how that second game ended to send you there.
So it was crazy because we were rock star like the whole year. Like we went to BU in January, swept them.
God.
Like we were just a great team. But we almost maybe peaked too early because we got swept by UNH senior weekend. We got swept by Lowell in the Hockey East quarterfinals. And then we had such a good season, we got that bid. So we went down we had basically 3 weeks off games. Went down to Bridgeport, played Yale, who was supposed to be a really good team, and it was just one of those things too where you're like, oh, look, that was easy, and then you like look at the film and you're like, holy smokes, our goalie stopped about 7 backdoors, but we're like, oh, that was easy, and then this is one of the coolest things. So in '96, when UVM lost to Colorado College. In the Frozen Four in the semis,
yep.
The guy had the hand pass, right? Which would have been immediately called back if they had video replay.
Yeah.
So we went to double overtime with Air Force, and our defenseman Dan Lawson shot a puck, and like some people celebrated, some didn't. There was a 15-minute delay. He actually blew the puck through the net. And it was that goal because of video replay that sent us to the Frozen Four.
Dude, and correct me if I'm wrong.
So it was almost like 20 years
of
like no video replay and stuff. And then we needed that video replay to send us to the Frozen Four. So it was like kind of like a little Vermont green luck or whatever.
Dude, we actually remember that. Like that was such a mental play.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys played for like 2.5 more minutes of game time.
6 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe
literally,
it was 2.5.
or whatever.
No,
but
we
like,
kept playing.
Yeah, like he shot it in. Just so everyone listening understands, like he shot it in. A few people celebrate, but they just kept playing the game, and then like minutes later, there was the replay, which is so insane to win like that, dude.
So nuts.
And think about this too: is like, say it wasn't a goal, we just had a 15-minute delay,
dude. Such a good
then
point.
We would have to go back into double overtime.
Oh my God.
For both teams.
Thinking you had just won too. Like the emotional drain of like, oh, I thought we won. I've been sitting here for 15 minutes. Ridiculous.
Yes.
What was it like?
Sure.
I was just going to ask, what was it like, it's so interesting talking to so many guys, who have the amazing careers that you do and guys who make it to the next level. Some guys leave early, We talked about how special it was for you to be from Vermont, living right up the road from the campus. You go there, then you take them to the most successful season they've had in decades. What was it like, win or lose, doesn't matter. You make it to the Frozen Four, and then your 4 years is over. Did you have that surreal moment of looking back and being like, what a time this was? On to the next step, sure, but wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, for the next 15 years of my life, it was, oh, wow, mate. No, but... honestly, it was like I was an absolute rink rat when I was when I was young. I was always hanging around the UVM guys. I had a really good relationship with one of the players, and just would look after me and super cool. So then I remember, like, when I was a kid or when I was playing there, and these kids were hanging around, and I'm like, they're like, oh, like wanted to hang out and like. Come in the locker room and stuff, and you're like, they want to hang out with us?
Yeah.
Like, we're not that cool, but then I can remember when I was that kid, and I was like, so that was a big thing, always just having, like, the kids come around and enjoy it, because, I'd be asking for broken sticks or, when's practice on a Saturday or something, just to come watch.
Yeah.
So I think we had a skate at not UVM, but a local rink before we went to the Frozen Four. And I thought, to me, I was like, holy smokes. Like, I got pulled out of school at like 10 a.m. To watch the 96 team
sick.
play in the Frozen Four in Cincinnati. So I was like, oh, my gosh, there's literally kids that could be doing the same thing as me and then be playing for UVM 20 years later or
Yeah.
something like that. And I was like, that was cool. Because I remember it like yesterday. Pulled out of school. We're waiting on the couch. Cincinnati, ice.
Yep.
Some pipe blew, and we're just like, when's this game going to start? You know, they should have never played that game.
Yeah.
The ice was horrendous. But so that was my, like, I don't know if you want to call that a moment or whatever, but I was like, that's pretty special.
Isn't it fun that the kids that were watching that game are on UVM right now?
Yeah.
like it's been 20 years. And you're like, oh, they're in college.
I wish there was a Vermont kid on UVM right now. You got none.
Is that true? There's not a single Vermont guy on the Catamounts right now?
This is true.
Wow. That's up.
That is.
Yeah.
But you move on from UVM, you play in the ECHL, you play in the AHL, you got games for the Reign, the Titans, played in Wheeling for a bit, then you obviously get your run up in Hamilton. What was that whole experience like? Because as we know, it's a grind. Like, it can be brutal on players when you're moving around. So how did you deal with all that?
I mean, some of it was really good because you're like young and dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
you're making all-star games, and it's pretty cool. So,
but it's just like, you know what I mean? You're just kind of doing it. But now, as I like, and it wasn't a thing back then. But I'm just like, to fast forward to like where we are now with like skill development and stuff, and it was like how much time I wasted.
Wow.
just getting extra touches in and stuff like that. Like, my hands were always pretty good, but they're 10 times better than they were just speed wise and stuff like that. Just because like, and it goes to a perfect example of what we're teaching is like the more of these touches and, putting in 20, 30 minutes a day of the like skill work that has a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, everything becomes easier.
Sure.
And I think there was just like, if I could go back to those early coast days and stuff like that, it was just like maybe training a little bit more with a purpose of what, like, I would shoot pucks for sure, but it was like, where am I shooting them? Why am I shooting them there? Like, what am I doing? And I think that was, looking back now, that was some of the, I don't know if you call it a regret, but things I wish I focused on more was just kind of a purpose.
Yeah.
And, the mental aspect of it is huge, right? When you're at your top of your game, there's a lot of East Coast guys that could play in the NHL, but it's the consistency and stuff like that, and understanding a 72 game schedule and that stuff. So I think, as I went, it was a consistency issue for myself of being either red hot or ice cold, and then just kind of trying to blend them together and have that. So I think that was something, during that. I love playing in the coast. I love playing in Europe. But I think that if going back, that would be something I would try to do.
Yeah. Speaking of Europe, Pete, we haven't, because you had a long career, in the Alps League and everything, and you wore a letter on your jersey over there, had some really great seasons. We haven't had the chance to have anybody on that got to play overseas like that. So if you can just tell us anything, regale us with a story or two just about that experience.
And yeah, Pete, how much of your dad brought you to the Austrian league? Like, was that a big part of why?
Definitely a lot. So I played my first year in Graz. So I played a year in the coast, went over to Austria, came back, and I think it was something where it was just like kind of jumping and like honestly not maybe having guidance of being like, man, try to stick it out for 3-4 years in the coast. See what happens. You can go to Europe after, but it was like, oh, I saw dollar signs jumped over.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to play in the American League. So I jumped back. So I was kind of going back and forth. And I don't know if I just understood that at the time. And maybe if I had, a little more guidance or something at that time to be like, man, try to stick it out here. Or like, work there. Like, you made the Coast All-Star game. Like, try to build off of that. Don't just try to go and jump for a paycheck, the first time you have a good season over there. Yeah. So that was kind of some of it for that.
Yeah.
But the coast was awesome. Europe was, Graz was awesome. That was the IBO league at the time. And then, playing in Europe's great. But I said, like, you can go, like, when you're 30 or 31, like, so I would try to encourage more guys to maybe stay over for a bit or jump to Europe right away and try to build your career there.
Wow.
But I was kind of like stuck in between both.
Sure. What was it like being a professional hockey player in Austria? Like, was it sick?
Is the
living in
language
Austria?
weird? Like, is it
Yeah,
people
like-
speak English? Like, how does that all
It's
work?
it's German. Yeah, I mean a lot of the younger kids, but like our equipment manager my first year only spoke German, so I was like,
You're like 5/8 on the stone, please.
yeah. I was like something sharp, not so sharp.
Yeah.
No, it was really cool. Austria is a super laid back country. So, towards the end of it is when I was like, I started coaching the youth over there as well, because I was like, I'm so bored.
Yeah.
I got my first Frenchie my last year there and stuff. And it was just like, I feel like I could be doing more.
Sure.
So that was one of the things when, Elevate started and stuff. It was like, all right, I can pour all my time and energy and stuff into this. But I think that was what was tough is it gets lonely sometimes. And I mean, I loved it. I had a ton of friends and had fun, but it was just like, you practice in the morning and then you could literally like go and sit in your apartment from noon till practice the next day.
Yeah.
And you're like, so met a lot of nice North Americans over there, a lot of, Austrian and German and, all the imports and stuff, and had a great time. But honestly, some of it was just like almost too much downtime.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So you had a perfect segue into Elevate 02, which I want to talk about now. You start this company, and what I love about this is because so many guys who go through this journey that you did, where you excel all through your career, you get to the pro level, and you got to have that moment where you go, okay, what am I doing now? So you're playing in Europe.
Right.
And a lot of guys have to make that decision of, okay, I'm not in hockey anymore. And that's really hard. It's hard to figure out where you fit in life if this love that you've had for your entire existence is now gone. But you figured out a way to stay in hockey and sort of pass on these awesome lessons that you got growing up around UVM, seeing these guys and wanting to keep that ball rolling to the next generation. So you and a fellow UVM alum, Tori Mitchell, 11-year NHLer, start this company, and you've expanded out. You're into Boston now, I think, with a new location, and you guys are just going on and focusing on skills in a really deliberate and awesome way that really hasn't been done before. And just kind of tell the people what you're up to there, how it all started, because my favorite part about the success of this is you guys started right at the perfect time in 2019 when a little thing called COVID came around, when you need to be in person teaching kids how to play hockey. So, how did you battle through that? And, what are you guys up to now?
So, if Elevate and stuff didn't happen, I'd be one of those guys playing till I was 40 or 45 over in Europe, just like dropping leagues, didn't matter. Like, I mean, I absolutely love hockey. Love it. Like, it's my favorite thing.
Dude, you are one of the biggest.
Tori and I,
you are one of the biggest puck hounds we've ever met.
Absolutely.
Like, it's awesome. We get it.
Yeah,
like
you
it's
know
awesome.
what I mean? It's just enjoy it, And so Tori and I, we always talked about doing something. Whether it be, we had storage unit ideas, we had coffee shop ideas. The main thing behind everything was like, he's like, obviously he made a lot more money playing than I did. But he was like, I just want to like do a job where I like hang out with my friends, and like the Rob Dyrdek Fantasy Factory was our goal. And we were like, we can't do that and make money. Like, it's just impossible. So, we just kept throwing out ideas and stuff. And then he suffered a bad concussion in Switzerland, and he was like, listen, I'm done. He came to visit me in Austria, and he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, man, I got another year on my deal here. He's like, I'm done. And I was like, well, that's good. But like, I
good for you.
Like, I was like, well, why don't we stay in hockey? And he was like, okay. And he was like, we're not doing synthetic ice. He's like, we can have a small rink of real ice. We can teach. And I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. I always worked at camps when I was younger and stuff. So I was like, I enjoy it and be part of it. And then it just kind of the ball started rolling. And we went to a place in New York because they had a rink in like a barn. And We drive 3.5 hours or 3 hours to Albany, Schenectady, New York. I got a laundry list of questions to ask this guy. Mitch walks in, puts his foot down. He goes, "It's real ice." Gives it one of these, and he goes, "I'm out of here." And I was like, well, dude, we haven't figured anything out. He's like, no, we're good. We can do it. It's done. Get the name of the company, and we're gone. And so on the way home, my dad was in the car, and we had the little Frenchie in the back. My dad's holding it, and I'm like, yeah, if we start this, and I go back, and then Tori's sitting in the front seat, and my dad's like, he's got a very thick Austrian accent, and he's like, you're done. And I was like, what? And then Mitch kind of just shriveled up driving and was just like kind of in a situation where he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I think Dad, like, no. And my dad's like, no, like, you're done. Like, if you're starting a business, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
And Mitch kind of like looked over at me and smiled. And I was like,
Mitch paid your dad off to say that, by the way. Slipped him a $100 before the car. Right?
Exactly. Right. Oh, so that's kind of how we went. And we kind of just went and we're piecing it together. And originally we had like 60% of the revenue coming from the gym that's on the other side of the ice, and no idea, like no business plan. People are asking us like, well, we're like, we got a rink, and they're like, oh, okay, like, what are you gonna do with it? We're like, skills, we think. And they're like, oh, okay. And then we kind of built it and then just felt it out as it went. And then that's when you guys mentioned COVID happened, and we were very busy pre-COVID, and then when COVID hit, you couldn't get on the ice. And we were actually deemed as a professional one-on-one service. So we were the only rink being able to stay open. So it was like 14 lessons a day. Parents were just like,
Dude.
like, take my kid for an hour. It's his happy spot, So like, and that's how,
Okay.
we COVID was great for us.
New theory.
And I hate to say that. Yeah.
New theory, Lenny and Mitch started COVID.
Yeah.
Because that made it, you guys were now
I do. I don't know. We have to check his passport. I think Mitch was in China in 2019.
What a great situation, man. It's like, I know you said like COVID was great for you, and that's okay to say. It's like you guys worked your asses off. You figured out, and you figured out a way to keep going. Obviously a fortuitous situation, but you could have easily just rested on your laurels, right? But instead you were like, okay, wow, we have this great opportunity. Let's lean into it. And it's been incredible to see.
So I was like, oh, okay, what? So we're trying to figure out this Instagram or whatever, and I'm storying every kid that comes in, and he's like, we're dying, doing 9 lessons together a day. He's like, will you get off your phone? I'm like, no, man, there's something here. Like, we got something. Like, just like, he's like, dude, get off your phone. Like, we're full, we're busy. Like, and I was like, no, there's more. Like, there's the Instagram stuff. He's like, dude, no one cares, like, with that or whatever. So we were going at it. Like, he was telling me to get off my phone. And then COVID hit, and he was like, do whatever you want.
Get on your phone.
Get on your phone immediately.
and then it just started going, and it was like we were doing challenges, we were doing different skill drills, and just like pumping out like 3-4 videos a day. And that's when like the original thought was like, okay, if we get 10,000 followers on Instagram, you can do the swipe up option. So if we have a clinic or merchandise, it brings them straight to our website. We hit 10K, like, somewhat during COVID. And then he's like, all right, so like, you're good. You put the phone down. I'm like, nah, I'm going to have some fun here. And then it just kind of kept going. So the content piece was not agreed upon early on. And it's just something that I believed in, and I thought that could really help us out as a business. And, just some fun to show kids, like when you work a lot on stick handling, what it can look like and stuff like that. And, it was a smart business move.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Before we dig into the IG stuff even more, can you just say real quick, because I thought this was so cool. I saw a quote from you and Mitch about like the skills you guys are teaching were not taught in any meaningful way before. Like, I think Mitch had a quote like, there are 5th rounders drafted now that can stick handle better than 1st rounders that were drafted when he was drafted, or when he got to
100%. It's a different era of playing too, right? But now it's just like the access these kids have and the coaches and stuff like that. obviously the benefits comes with a lot of benefits. There's also negatives that come with it, where it's the Wild West of skill coaches and, coaches claiming kids and saying it's my way or this or that. And they're like, dude, you didn't even play hockey. Like what the hell's going on? Or like, it doesn't even have to be that, but it's just like, you're telling a kid it has to be this, this, this. And when we opened Elevate, the big thing was like a safe environment for kids to learn. Obviously, players are going to go wherever. We want to be Switzerland. We're never going to coach a team. We're never going to tell a kid he can't go somewhere. We're never going to, hold something against a kid I'm looking for a word here that, kind of makes them go backwards.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or like handicaps the kid by being like, no, if you skate with us, you can only skate with us. And we're like, no, when these kids are on the ice, obviously we believe in the product we do, but go do other things, get other opinions and stuff like that. So that was a big thing from when we started, was just like, because as soon as we came in, there was coaches around being like, these guys stink. They don't know what they're doing, or this and that. It's a money grab or this. And we're like, oh, that guy's a great coach. He's got a good product. And then everyone's like, oh, well, they're pretty nice guys, like, and then they bring their kid over. They have someone like, oh, that kid's developing. Like, that's awesome. So that was our biggest thing, with the business side of it, was just like open to everything. Some things we're going to do don't work. Some things are going to be very successful. So I think that's a huge thing, when we teach these skills of stuff that, we may have worked on, but I think it goes back to the purpose. Are these kids doing this drill for a purpose? You can take a lot of my stuff from Instagram and you can have a dad tell them to do that. The problem is they don't understand what I'm teaching.
Yeah.
They just see so I think that's the thing where it's just like, that's why it's fine putting drills and stuff on Instagram and stuff, because it's like what we're teaching or the purpose or why is being left out. And then they're like, oh, do this. And then you watch the kid and you're like, well, but, just having those kids wanting to come to Elevate or to go to a trainer and get better, that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Absolutely, man. I think it's awesome too to emphasize the point you made. It's so great and valuable to have someone like you guys in a program like you guys that isn't connected to a team or some sort of filter system, because the politics that get involved and just the whispering in your ear, that can derail a kid's progression. So just to have guys who are genuinely and passionately invested in the betterment of their game and the enjoyment of playing hockey is just so awesome to see.
And I think that's what we said, obviously there's thousands of youth hockey teams. And we said, a lot of them who coach those are volunteers. And I think the biggest thing is like hockey overall in the other sports is a smaller sport, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, these volunteers, I don't care if you can't teach them how to toe drag or whatever, but it's like, just make sure the kids are having fun. Like, we don't need to lose a potential, superstar like McDavid or someone like that who goes to practice at 7, 8, 9 years old, has a coach who's grumpy, rude, is an asshole, and then that guy's like, oh, hockey coaches are assholes, and now they're out of the game.
Yeah.
So it's like, for those volunteers and those players, just have fun with the kids.
For sure.
If they're on the ice, they want to be there, enjoy it, right? You don't have to teach them jab steps, right? Just make sure they enjoy hockey, and then, when they want to get better, they can. But, to lose potential, just hockey players in general, because some of these people are just rude or had a bad day and take it out on the kids. And, the hockey coaches have that, kind of, oh, I need to be hard on them and this and that. It's like, no, man, it's different. It's 2024. Like, just let the kids enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pete, you touched on this a little bit, but just talk to us about, because I know, the boys had called you Swaggy P already, because you always got the fresh hoodies, the fresh sweaters on. You got one on right now.
You know it.
I gotta say that the dunks and sweater combination is kind of gas. I'm into that.
I'm a big dunk guy. I always collected. That was like my little side hobby when I was playing in the coast. I'd like try to go win a raffle, and like even if I didn't want the shoe and I knew it was gonna be like a cool shoe, and then I'd flip it for something because what you're making $525 a week in the coast, like you know what I mean. So it was like all these had to be somewhat calculated decisions. So yeah, I just always enjoyed shoes and fashion and stuff like that. I got that from my mom. Clearly, my dad absolutely goes bananas over some of the prices I'm paying for some of these shoes or whatever. And my mom was like, "Oh no, it's an investment," and he doesn't see it that way.
Yeah, your boy Blakey's
your boy
Blakey's on your side too.
Yeah,
he's got the Nike Dunk.
Blakey's a big Dunks guy.
But I mean, Blake, for sure he is. Yeah, he always got me lined up with the great undefeated, LA stuff when I went out there and stuff. And Blake's actually, we don't even know if we have to touch on, but he's the starter of the intermission shows.
Yes,
so that goes to Blake.
Yeah, that's true.
We were just talking about that.
That goes to Blake. So, yeah, he was the one who like kind of like, Neil at the NHL we've been doing all these amazing events and stuff, and Blake called, or I actually ran into him in the pro shop when I was out in LA doing something, and he was just like, "Would you do a show?" Like, I was like, absolutely, like, why not? And it was at that point, maybe it was still a Staples Center, or it was Crypto at that time. I'm not sure. And he was like, and I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, no way. So that was pretty cool. And just going out on that ice, and it's such an iconic building. For that one to be like the first show, I was like, I can't get much better than this,
Yeah.
So that goes to Blake. That's true. That was his doing.
Hell yeah,
dude! Isn't it wild? We talk about this all the time with the stuff because obviously we did that great creator skate with you, the 3v3 thing, All Star.
100%.
Isn't it wild? Thinking about your hockey journey, the amount of time and hours that we've all invested into the game, you especially. And seeing the ways that we're integrated into the league and doing stuff with teams, it's like
wild.
This bizarre but also incredible experience that this sort of hockey media space has allowed us to be a part of the game in such a cool and meaningful way.
It's amazing. I mean, when I was up in the American League, I got a check from the Canadian for that. But now it's just like you're going to these different teams and stuff, and you're getting paid, and it's like Pittsburgh Penguins or something. And you're like, I've been waiting for these teams to call me for agents, and now you're like doing something with them. And I mean, I don't know how it happened. I don't know, what it was going on, but just like you guys said, to have like a space in the hockey market that, they find valuable, and like we are super fortunate to be able to, be doing this as a living and stuff. It's just, it's unreal. But it's just like, it's crazy. You're like, oh, the guy from the Pittsburgh Penguins called. They want you to do a intermission show, or you're doing one in Chicago, and you're just like, holy smokes! It's just like, it's super special. And then just to be invited to the NHL events and stuff, it's just like you're blown away, and you're honored, to be a part of it. And I think that's the really, really special part about it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Hey,
hold on. I do have to chirp you, Pete, because in the 3v3 skate at All Star, you pulled a trick shot move, a little 360 between the legs, and fired the puck over the glass, and it smashed off
that's
that
not
building.
A chirp. That's not a chirp. That was an absolute. I actually got nervous because that almost shattered a glass. Like,
dude.
And I'm
there were
not
fans
talking
back
like
there,
5
dude.
feet.
Yeah,
I'm not talking 5 feet. It was like 65 feet behind me.
Oh,
and
dude.
then I was like, but I didn't know that, and I was like, holy smokes! Like, that was a 6 save by it was Nick the goalie. It was a 6 save. He's like 6 save. He's like, dude, that went like 35 feet by my head. And I was like,
it was so funny,
no.
Pete. Shout out Neil.
No.
Shout out Neil at the NHL. The second that happened, he was like, no, nothing over the glass. Nothing over the glass.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, I remember that. And then I think, because they kind of had that like mezzanine thing.
Yeah.
I think there was like a security guard standing on top, and I was like, I could have legitimately killed that guy.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
I won't take that as a trip. I was actually more impressed at how far I missed the net from that.
And the velocity, the velo, dude.
That's it.
That's
that puck traveled.
Gone.
That traveled.
Gone. That was gone. It was gone.
Oh man. Well, did Mitch ever apologize for how big the social media has gotten? Because I feel like you were
Nah,
on it early.
he always is just like, I mean, I cut you free, man.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew I had to cut you free. No, but it's all, we got like probably one of the healthiest business relationships and like friend relationships there is, just because it's like, I mean, we'll get into it for sure. And then it's like within like 2 seconds we're laughing,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I love that.
or we'll be into it and then it ends up turning into like one game on the ice or something. But it's just like, it's awesome. And I feel like if you have a business partner that you're like not getting it into, like, then it's like there's something off, you know, because we'll always disagree on something and then like, you know, fire at each other for about a minute and a half and then we're good. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Amazing.
Dude, and lastly, speaking about the 3v3 stuff,
Yes.
I want to just hear what you have to say about 3-ice real quick. Like, what's it like being invited to participate in that and scoring the first ever goal, and how's that going?
First ever hat trick too.
Oh, dude. Okay.
All right, okay.
Something about this guy
Nah,
opening
nah, nah, nah.
hatties. Yeah.
That's true, dude. Opening night hatties.
Yeah, that's it, right? And then I can shut it down. No, it's super cool. You know, it was something that I actually heard about before COVID, and was like calling around, checking, and the responses I was getting was like, oh, we're looking for like just ex-NHL guys and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, whatever. And then when I got the chance to try out in Vegas, I was like, what the hell, you know? So I went and did that. And it's a super fun league. You meet a lot of players and stuff, but it's like every year, you know, like I was like, should I start contacting some teams in Europe? Like, I'm feeling good right now, you know, but obviously like way too busy with this. But I think hockey players in general always have that like competitiveness and love for it. So it kind of keeps that alive without it being like men's league.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I really enjoy it, and I think they're doing a great job. I think they're focusing more on social media and getting the word out this year. So, you know, EJ Johnson's had a dream, and he's, you know, trying to make it, you know, continue to go strong. And I'm super, super happy. And you also get to connect with guys that you used to play with or played against. So it's a super, super fun thing and to be a part of.
Dude,
Yeah.
you scored that penalty shot goal when you were on Team Bork, and I saw Ray on the bench.
Yes.
He's like, "What the? You can't believe that! You got the stick going crazy." Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. No, I scored that, and then we had another game, and it went to penalty shot, and I kind of like looked back, and I was like, Ray, like, do you mind? He's like, dude, I don't care what you do. Like, just have fun, you know, like, go out there and do it. But he's like, it worked the first time. Hopefully it works the second. But, no, super, super, like, crazy. Like, my first year I had, like, Grant Fuhr behind the bench. And, you know, you're sitting there, and then you, like, turn around, and you're like, holy shit. Like, I watched him growing up, you know, and you're just like, that's wild.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool thing that I think maybe not like the younger generation understands, because they weren't alive when those guys were playing. But for like players like, you know, myself and stuff, that's who we grew up watching.
Yeah,
totally.
So like it's amazing to be on that. And then, you know, like I remember at one point Ray was like, I need you to play some defense, and I was like, yeah, I got you. You know, like fired up. Like, did Ray Bork just tell me to play some defense?
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, like I'll go to war for
I
Ray,
don't
dude.
think I don't think I did, but it was I thought about it for a second. No, but
and you're like, hey Ray,
cool.
tell Chris we waxed Cushing in the quarterfinals. It's not a big deal.
It brings it up all the time. Still, he's like, I can't believe we let that one get away. Because he used to, he would do like the D coach.
Yeah, he did that when I was at Exeter. It was awesome.
Oh, that's the
no,
best.
you just got. Obviously, these guys are all legends. So like to be in like somewhat of like a talking with them or being like, all right, like what's the game plan? Even though it's like 3-on-3, you know, they still got that competitive edge too, where they want to win.
Definitely.
So I think you see that, like, no matter what era it is, like those guys who played at a high level, obviously, you know, they played at the top level, but they still want to win. They're like, I'm not coming to Newark for nothing here. Like, if I'm here, we may as well win. And you're like, hell yeah, you know what I mean?
For sure,
you get
dude.
Fired up.
That's so good.
No
so
doubt.
I think that's really cool.
Well, Pete, dude, we've taken up plenty of your time
On
here.
vacation,
This
no
has been
less.
so fun.
I mean, it's it's gonna go from this to eating and to bed. So it actually like helped me stay awake, so it's perfect.
There we go. We
but
did it.
I'm glad we got this first one in the books here. It's
Agreed,
been,
dude.
long overdue.
Agreed.
So I appreciate it.
Before we cut you loose, is there anything you want to shout out?
Yes.
Anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, you guys, Blake, obviously super, super awesome podcast. And, when Blake, he came up to me during the 3-on-3, which didn't really give me a lot of time to process. But he's like, I left the Kings. And I was like, Blake, right now you're going to do this to me? You didn't call me or whatever. But no, I mean, you guys are awesome and I appreciate it. So this was super fun.
Hell yeah, man. Back at you. And until next time. And for now, dude, rip up that concrete in Spain.
Hope the sun comes out.
You're going to see it. You're going to see it.
Yes.
Saturday.
Better.
Saturday.
We
So
better.
That's it.
All
Okay.
right, my man.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.